On behalf of both families, we'd like to welcome you all here today. Not many fathers of the bride have to go to work on their daughter's wedding day. For those of you who don't know, I have a workshop next door. And we'd like to are extremely grateful to Margaret and Jeremy for this stunning venue. Thanks to Vanilla for the catering, and hopefully we're all in for a nice meal. Also to Hannah and Toby for all their help. Not to forget the bar, Hampshire Bars, obviously. Francesca, or Tess as I call you. Mum and me are very proud of you, but we always have been. We have been privileged to share in all of your achievements over all the years. We have watched you grow into the wonderful woman you are now, ready to start your married life with Joe. Looking around, I can see so many of her lifelong friends, and I'm sure they will all agree you're a true and loyal friend, and will always be there when you need them. I know that their friendship means a huge amount to you, and that over the years, you've all had amazing times together, but also looked after each other in the not so good times. That's what true friends are for. Do you remember when you were in the nativity? I can't in that road. Nativity play group, age 3, with Harry over there with the beard. You were Mary, and he was Joseph. He's still doing it now. At school, you raised money for the Royal Marsden Teenage Cancer Trust with many of your school friends here today, including Emily, Joe, Fran, and Amy, your bridesmaids. You organised a group of 100 of us to walk 15 miles for charity. I've still got the blisters. During your DOV service, you volunteered at Riding for the Disabled. This combined your love for horses and a special ability to give children the opportunity to gain confidence and the freedom to learn to ride. Well, next came 4 fun-packed years at Bournemouth Uni. Making friends with Meg over there and Molly here. As well as achieving your degree, you yet again volunteered to become a uni ambassador and throwing yourself into social sports and organising events. But perhaps one of the greatest events in shaping your life was your 4 summers spent at Camp America, near New York. Tanner, over there, wave. Who you met in the very first year and went to work with every year after. He's flown in from California. Thank you, Tanner, for coming all this way.
Thank you.
It was unlike anything you have ever done before. The youngest under your cane came from really tough backgrounds, with very little stability in their lives and not much prospect in their future. But the love, care, enthusiasm for life you showed them gave them, hopefully, the best 6 weeks of their lives. You were a true role model to those children, and they loved you for it. In those weeks, you encouraged them to try new things, to talk about their feelings, and you showed them compassion. But most importantly, you had fun with them. I know that you kept in contact with some of them, and they were very thankful for all you did for them. Your time spent at Camp Morty was challenging, exhausting, but so rewarding. In their own way, those kids gave you one of the best times of your life. You have always strived to give your absolute best in whatever you do in life, and so many of us love you for it. Oh. Molly and you spent 3 months travelling New Zealand and Australia. I think you both agree it was an amazing experience, one where your friendship became even stronger Who would have thought that being flatmates on day one at uni, you would still be such good friends? Lovely that you're making them of honour today, Molly. Bit down. Right. As a small but close family, you show us love, kindness, both as a daughter and a granddaughter. We love that you have made so many happy memories together. Oh, hold on, what's going on there? It's all right, is it? Family holidays in Cornwall and trips to France with Granny and Grandad, and many trips to North Wales to visit Uncle John. Over the years, you and Greg's have grown together, playing endless made-up games, dressing up in the garden, surfing, kite flying, and walking lots of dogs and all. I hope this bond goes from strength to strength with Mairead over there and Joe. You now have a larger family to love and embrace. Joe, we welcome you and love having you as part of our family. For many years, two of you were great friends. We're also happy that a friendship became a love for each other. Joe, your care and patience with Tess is very much appreciated by me and Jude. You take such care of her, thank you. We look forward to making more happy family memories with you and enjoying part of your lives as you grow older together. Gaynor, Colin, Harry and Alexia, June and Irene, and the Junior Reeks, we welcome you to our family. Yeah. You are both lucky that you share many interests together, like football, holidays, and time spent with friends and family. But allow each other time, space to do your own things, which is so important. All of you here today, you have played a part positively enriching Francesca and Joe's lives, and are valued because of that. We are also glad you're all here. We hope you enjoy today as much as us, and that you'll have treasured memories of this special day. Traditionally, when a bride gets married, you have something old, something new, something borrowed, and something blue. Well, something old, I've got something in my pocket that is old. Not old in my lifetime, but quite old in yours. Something new, well, I think you've got that covered. Something borrowed. Well, I borrowed these off you 25 years ago. So I think it's probably about time I gave them back, because you might have another use for them one day, and they just happen to be blue. That is your very first pair of shoes. Okay. I think we ought to have a toast now, didn't we? Really? I think if we could all stand, raise our glasses. Yeah. Francesca and Joe.
Francesca and Joe.
No.
Sneaky. That was so sweet. Didn't know about that end of it.
Thank you, Dave, for that wonderful speech. I've never been one. I had another line. It was character assassination, but you did well there, so it was all right. I've never been one for public speaking, so the prospect of having to do this speech today has been my biggest worry in the build-up to this wedding. So I'll apologise in advance. My wife. My wife and I would like to thank everyone for being here, for being part of our special day. We are so thrilled to have so many of our close friends and family here to celebrate with us. The groom's speech is always best known for words of thanks and some jokes, and as much as I want to entertain you with my charming wit, there are a number of people who aren't here who we both wish were, two of which being my grandfathers, Gordon and John. Although they are no longer with us, they both played a huge role in my life and are sorely missed every day. The other is Mitch. For those who don't know, Mitch was in school with myself, Fran, and many of the bridesmaids and groomsmen here today. Sadly, he was taken from us far too early when we were in school. Mitch will always be a part of our lives, and for me, I wish more than anything that he was here to see this, as I would love and hope to think that he would be so happy that I was the person marrying his best friend. An inspiration and friend to us all, I would like us to raise a glass to Mitch, Gordon and John. Events like this just don't happen. We've been planning this wedding for 10 months, which turns out isn't actually that long a time. I also use the term we loosely, as I can't take a lot of credit for all the planning for this special day. Fran, you have been amazing in planning this wedding. You have worked so hard and arranged things that I would never ever have considered. I know I take the mick about your incessant list making, but without this and your organisation skills, this would have been a very different wedding. Mum, Dad, Judith and Dave, your help throughout the planning has been invaluable, and again I would like to offer my deepest thanks for everything you have done. Also, a very special thank you to Mum, Judith and Jordan for your beautiful readings today. It meant so much to hear these words from you both, all even. For those who don't know mine and Fran's love story, it started back in year 8. Fran instantly fell for my cute boyish charm, and we were together for a summer, and as the young mature man I was back then, I dumped her by text. Over the following years, I slowly ground her down, and she eventually forgave me, and we became very close friends for the rest of our school lives and into university. I would visit Fran every year at university as our friendship continued, and my feelings for her increased considerably, even to the point where I sent Ashley on a mission to find out if Fran was seeing anyone at uni. When the news came back that Fran was in fact single, a meal out with friends led to me finally making a move, and after some initial apprehension and a lot of panic, I was fortunate to win a round, and the rest, they say, is history. Judith and Dave, thank you for raising such an amazing daughter. It is testament to you both of how supportive, loving and selfless Fran has become. We are so thankful for everything you do for us and for your extremely generous contribution to the wedding. Without this, we wouldn't have been able to celebrate with all the people that we love here today. For being our gardener and on-call handyman, I hate to think the state of our house would be in without your help. You have welcomed me into your family with open arms since the day I met you, and I'll forever be grateful. As a token of our gratitude, we would love to present you with this gift. Can you please raise a glass? Thank you. On to Mum and Dad. I'd like to thank you for everything you have given me during my life and for everything you have done for us both over the last 6 years. It must be so comforting to have raised such a charming, sophisticated and modest son. It's a shame the second attempt wasn't as successful, but I wouldn't put any blame on yourselves there. Apologies for that, Harry. I need to get a dig in early before the inevitable ribbing I'll be getting later. You have both been role models to me and will continue to inspire me every day. I couldn't have asked for better parents and can't wait for you all to be grandparents when the time comes. Again, we would like to give you this gift as a thank you for everything you have done. To the bridesmaids, Molly, Meg, Jo, Emily, Fran and Amy, you all look amazing tonight. I'd like to personally thank you all for everything you do and have done for Fran in the lead up to the wedding. Thank you to Fran's maid of honour, Molly, for arranging Fran's hen and being there for over the years. Everything you have organised was amazing, and I know from speaking to Fran that she couldn't have asked for more. Also, a big thank you to Amy for helping to convince Fran it was a good idea to be with me at the start of our relationship, as Fran went into a panic about being kissed by a best friend. You all mean so much to us both, and I would like to invite everyone to raise a glass. Stags. Thank you all for coming to Prague on the stag do. It means so much to me that you all took 3 days off your annual leave for my wedding. It was a great send-off, even with it potentially causing the acceleration of my diabetes diagnosis. I couldn't have asked for a better group of guys to spend it with. As I've said before, you all have been a big part of mine and Fran's lives, and all of you have contributed to our relationship in one way or another. We love you all and hope you'd have part of our lives for many years to come. Sam, I've got a little something for you. You got it? Yeah. I know long days can be tiresome for the older members of the group. So after the performance on the stag, I wanted to make sure you were comfortable today. So I've set up a nice sofa in the back for you. Whoever he is. Come on. Come on. I'd also like to include a special thank you to my groom party. Harry and Johnny, thank you for agreeing to be my best men, organising a stag and for being there for me whenever I need you. Also, a massive thank you to my ushers, Stewie, Tobes, Els and Gregs. Thank you for everything you've done over the past year and for everything you've done tonight. Myself and Fran appreciate it all. Can we please raise a glass to the groom party? Now on to my beautiful wife, Fran. You are the kindest, most loving person I know, and thank you for agreeing to marry me. You deserve all the happiness in the world, and I'll ensure I provide this for you for the rest of our lives. I'm sure everyone will agree that you look stunning today, as always. People say that today is the best day of our lives, but every day with you are the best days of my life. You have so much love to give to so many people, which is emphasised by the number of people we have here celebrating with us today. You make me a better person every day, and I promise to love you for the rest of our lives. Can we please raise our glasses to Fran? You'll be glad to hear that's the end from me. As many of you won't be surprised to hear, my lovely wife would also like to say a few words. But one final note, please remember to trade your chips in for a free drink at the bar, courtesy of Fran's grandparents, Jerick and Jenny. I would like to extend my thank you to you from everyone. Thank you from everyone to you both for your generous gift. Thank you again. Thank you again for being here to celebrate our big day with us. And now over to Fran.
Oh. Oh, when I decided I want to speak, I didn't really think about it being after 2 emotional speeches, so hopefully I get through this. But thank you, everyone, for being here. My speech is a little bit mainly around thank yous, with the first one being to my husband. Joe, thank you for always being such a patient, caring person to me. I think you'll agree that we balance each other out quite well, as I'm 100 miles per hour, whereas Joe is much more relaxed and rational. So thank you. And I think you really keep me grounded, so yeah, thank you. And I think, as Joe alluded to, and for those of you that don't know, 6 weeks ago, Joe was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So we have had to alter our lifestyles quite a lot in the last few weeks, and we're learning and altering along the way with each other. And I've just been in absolute awe of how positive he has been. But along the way, I would really like to raise a glass, firstly, to the amazing NHS, who for this experience we are truly grateful for, but also for our good friend Nadine, who encouraged us into hospital before it was too late. So cheers. So then, just wanted to thank all of our incredible suppliers, but especially those who have made our day so personal. So some of our good friends have really been involved today. The first one being my friend Hannah, who drew this beautiful barn that you will all remember, hopefully, on your invitations. So thank you so much for that, Hannah. Then our friends at Hogmore Distillery, we had the joy of personally distilling our own gin, which is in the favours in front of you. This gin is actually one that Joe made at the gin school in 2020. He named it Tropical Dream, and we would recommend pairing it with any Fever Tree tonic, as if 3/4 of your drink is tonic, has to be the best, eh, Rob? Moving on to the florist, Sunflower have decorated the barn absolutely beautifully. We would love for their work to continue to be enjoyed. So on your name places, if you have a pink dot on the back of yours, we would love for you to take it home and continue to enjoy the centerpieces on your table. If that doesn't work for you for whatever reason, then please nominate somebody else on your table, but please take the flowers home and enjoy them.
Everyone's checking their things now. It's like bingo.
Yeah. And then you will also notice on your tables that you have some disposable cameras. We would love to get as many photos as possible with everybody. Please ignore the printed instructions on the back, as I did accidentally order them in German, so sorry about that. And then today isn't just our special day, it is also Joe's Auntie Angela's birthday today. we have a little gift for you. We'd like you to come up and we would love for everybody to sing our happy birthday. So, on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear love. Happy birthday to you. And then, of course, thank you all for being here. It's just absolutely incredible to see all of our favourite people in one room together. Some of you have travelled really far to be here, as Dad already mentioned, somebody from California, so obviously thank you, Tanner. And we wanted to thank everybody for however you've individually supported our relationship so far and that you will continue to do so in the future. And then, of course, I can't forget my amazing bridal party. And thank you for everything that you've done for me, not just in the lead up to this wedding, but throughout my life. And I'm sure you will continue to do so. Molly, I think you know me better than I know myself. From living together at uni, travelling the world together, and then to creating that amazing Hender in South Wales. So thank you, Molly. And then finally, we're going to keep the best men sweating over the meal. So we hope that they're going to have the speech afterwards, but we hope you all enjoy the meal and this evening. Just also wanted to note that later on this evening, there will be a photo booth up on the balcony, which will be where the guest book is. So if you can make it up there, we would love to have as many photos as possible with everybody. So yeah, that's it from me, and thank you.
Yeah. Right.
I'll pop the old thing there.
It's horrible. Right, let's do this.
Cool. So hello. For everyone that doesn't know me, I'm Harry, Joe's brother. I'm best man #1, a very important detail. We know you've heard a few speeches already, so we'll try and keep this one short and sweet. Firstly, just wanted to say a huge congratulations to Joe and Fran. I think we can all agree the day's been absolutely beautiful so far, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for you guys.
It'll be here a while if they clap.
Yeah. And I also wanted to take this opportunity to say how beautiful the bridesmaids look, and thank you for helping Fran get ready on her big day. If I knew I was going to be spending and committing the rest of my life with Joe, like keeping Fran cool, calm, collected can't have been easy. So. Obviously, I can't mention the bridesmaids without mentioning how handsome the groomsmen look. They've been brilliant through the stag and up till today, and keeping Joe level-headed through the last couple of days. It's good to know as well that the endless trips up and down the A3 to a random Brighton soup shop paid off eventually. And finally, I just want to say thank you, everyone, for coming. It's great to see so many of Joe and Fran's closest and family here. Although maybe not all surprising, with the cost of living crisis, I think we'd all agree we'd do anything for a free meal, a free drink, and a free bus ride home. So yeah, we're going to do this kind of chronologically and work through kind of our life with Joe. So Joe and I have always been really close. We rarely fought as kids. I'm not sure if Mum and Dad will agree with that, but that's kind of how I remember it. And from our days from school, Joe's always kind of been looking after me. So even from Boxgrove, where I used to wear glasses, or I still wear glasses, and used to get hit in the face by the ball quite a lot, Joe was always there to kind of pick me up and get me back on my feet and send me on my way. And then all the way through to George Abbott as well. So I still remember my first day at George Abbott, getting on the bus for the first time, Joe welcoming me to the back of the bus with his friends and giving us kind of instant credibility, which everyone needed at that point in time. And then, yeah, since we've got older, we've started looking after each other in different ways. So it takes us to our annual Old Wokes Club dinner night, a night that Joe so fondly likes, he's managed to get himself in charge of organising now. But yeah, so from my...
You got a little laugh from me.
Yeah, so from my first club dinner where I was snuck into bed bar at a very tender age of 16, proceeded to fall asleep at the bar, and Joe was there to sweep me up, take me home and get me back safely into my bed. The good news is a couple of years later the favour was returned when Joe got himself too drunk, was kindly asked to leave by the bouncers, and then proceeded to fall asleep pretty much in a plant pot outside a bed bar for about 3 hours until he sobered up and a taxi was willing to take him home. That next morning, I was woken to Joe sticking his head around the door, uttering those famous words, "I've had an accident." The bad thing was he was late for a tea time, so just flipped the mattress, went off without showering to meet Johnny to play golf. I think Fran was returning back from Miami that day, so yeah. And we'll hand over to John for
Yeah, hey everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Johnny, best man number 2, which I'm taking as the fact that he actually chose me, because let's face it, he's had to have his brother up here. The first story I was planning to tell you is about the fact that we very nearly didn't make it here today. And that's a story that Joe told earlier about the fact that he dumped Fran in year 8. I genuinely didn't expect him to tell that, and so I'm having to do this a little bit on the fly. But where I'm going to pick this back up, and what I was planning to say back up, is the fact that I was there in person for the years that followed, when Joe, I guess, might have actually been playing the field. But what I can confirm is that Joe's life largely consisted of playing football midweek, maybe the occasional trip to the pub, a game of golf at the weekend, and then probably another trip back to the pub. But I think the plan was today to say that for the purposes of today, we can just about get away with saying that he was probably patiently waiting until Fran would give him another chance. It was in those years that I also first got to know the rest of the Eek clan. I think it's testament probably to the number of people that are here today as to how unbelievably warm and welcoming they are as a family. I'll always appreciate the fact that Colin and Gaynor were very receptive when we gave them a late night, probably Saturday or Friday night call to say that the group of lads were heading round to leverage their Sky Sports and a fridge full of beer. But I do have one bone to pick with them. Joe and I recently shared neighbouring toilet cubicles, which very bizarrely had a translucent wall in between them. It's pretty weird, but when it's one of your best mates, you can probably just about get away with it. But where it became a bit traumatic, and the big question that I've got for Colin and Gaynor, is how did neither of you teach him that when one of you wasn't going to be wiping his bum, he didn't need to stand up to do it? I don't know how that's a thing. And I sincerely hope that it's not a role that Fran's having to adopt.
I sit down,
as of today. It might be an Eek family thing. Like, honestly, who knows?
A firmly planted seat.
That's not going to be the last you hear about Joe and toilets. But for now, I'm going to pass it back over to Harry, who's going to tell us a little bit more about the early days of Joe and Fran. But one thing I'm going to have to tell you before that, and a quick story, is that Harry's not going to tell you, is because Harry, probably it'd be fair to say, struggled to get used to the idea that Joe might change a few of their family traditions when him and Fran got into a long-term relationship. So this came to a head on a famed Christmas Eve when Fran felt unwell when they were at the New Inn pub, which is where the Eeks typically end up after their church visit. So Fran at that point headed home and missed the usual kind of last orders, which is the Eek family tradition. To Harry's horror, Joe decided to accompany her and take her home because she wasn't feeling well. And so once they'd left the pub, Harry very loudly declared that Fran had ruined Christmas. He refused to get in the Uber home, and so Harry spent the rest of his evening walking home on his own with a pint of lager in hand, basically muttering about it. I think he's just about got over it, but let's hear some of it from him.
I am fully over it. And I'd had quite a few beers, to be fair. It's fully over now. But yeah, so just jumping back into kind of, into Joe and Fran. So yeah, I mean, I remember the first time that I fully met Fran for the first time. So we were away, we were down on our sort of annual camping trip to Dorset. I know a lot of the Northern Farm gang are in today, so big up for that. But yeah, Joe had uncharacteristically made plans to go and meet a friend in Bournemouth. And just to call out, this was the week after that Joe had managed to go out on a night out in Bournemouth and kiss Fran's best friend and future maid of honour, Molly. So we
we won't get bogged down with those details because it's a nice romantic story after that. But yeah, Joe had gone out to meet someone. Obviously, the whispers around the campsite had started. Who's he going to meet? Is it a girl? Who's going to come back? And then before we knew it, he arrives back with Fran, who was greeted, well, was basically about to be thrown in the deep end. So not just meeting Joe's family, but also the entire camping lot, who aren't exactly quiet and tame. Like, it was, and she would have probably been greeted with the offer of a glass of Prosecco from one of the 12 bottles that was probably going round, a curry big enough to feed the entire campsite, and probably a game of beer pong or two. But yeah, won't get into too much details, but needless to say, the night ended well. So well, in fact, that I was actually booted out of my own tent and hoiked into the Junior Eeks tent, where I ended up spending the night cheek to cheek with my cousin Max. So we'll leave it there. But yeah, and then I suppose as I got to kind of know Fran and Joe a little bit later on and through the years, some of their sort of personality differences have kind of been there from the offset, and I think it's what made the guys absolutely great together. This kind of came to head in Turkey, where like we go to Turkey most years. It's a really hot country. All we do is basically wake up, sit around the pool, drink beer, and do very little else. It's safe to say, if you know Fran, she's not the kind of, I'm going to sit around the pool in 35-degree heat and suntan kind of person. She's very much, I'm going to go out, find a day trip, adventure, go and see the town. Joe had obviously psyched himself up for a day around the pool, and Fran had set her eyes on a canoeing trip down a lovely lake ending at a beach called Patara. And it's safe to say they had a lovely day trip out.
Yeah, as Harry said, if there's one thing you can rely on Fran for, it's to be organised and determined to make plans happen. One of my favourite stories about this is when Fran planned a night out for us all for Joe's 23rd birthday. Surprise night out. I can see Fran reacting because she knew I was going to tell this story. So yeah, Fran had planned a night out for the group of the boys, herself and Joe, up with all of us in London. What Fran didn't plan for is the fact that there's a pretty significant height and weight disadvantage that she's got when she went and matched us pint for pint. As you'd expect, this ended up with a pretty drunk Fran, and so when we headed back to Guildford and to go to one of her and Joe's favourite places in Pop World, she initially had a little bit of difficulty getting in. Full disclosure, Fran categorically told us that we couldn't swear during this speech, but the next bit that's coming up is a direct quote of Fran's, and so decided it's probably okay. So the funny bit here is Fran was so determined to finish the night out with all of us that she decided the only way to get this bouncer to let her in was going to be to beg and plead to be allowed in. And then when he finally decided that he still wasn't going to let her in, she screeched at him to fucking breathalyse me then. Luckily, Joe had also had quite a lot of drinks, and so he didn't have it in the locker to send any texts like the one he did in Year 8, and so their story went on. The next stage of Joe's life that I wanted to talk about was the year that we lived together. It's pretty important context that for the first 24 years of his life, Joe had lived with his parents, and I'm sure if Colin was up here doing this speech, he'd be telling you all about the fact that Joe's affectionately known as Slippery for his uncanny ability to duck away if there's any jobs to be done. For that reason, I think, and I'm sure Fran would probably agree, it was important training that we had Joe for that year and tried to make him a little bit more domesticated. I think it's also fair to say that you learn the most about somebody when you live with them. And so I'm going to run you through a list of 6 things that I've learnt about Joe. Are you ready, mate? Okay. Number 1, Joe cuts his toenails in the lounge.
That's the light one, that one.
We're going to build up here. Number 2 is that Joe blocks every toilet he ever uses. His hit list to date... Sorry? Having brought Colin and Sam on the stag do, I can attest to that fact as well. His hit list today includes Paris, Margate, Prague, where else have you done? Woking. But to be fair, it's probably what you expect from a bloke who diagnosed himself as lactose intolerant with a test that he bought off Woucher. Number 3 is that Joe does not like to argue in any situation, even if that's as a result of someone having hit his car, and is trying to leave, or a water company is trying to overcharge you by about 500 quid, not interested, let it happen and crack on with it. Number 4 is that Joe can be a lucky git at times. There are countless stories, but a recent favourite is that we really tried to stitch Joe up on his stag do, and we'd booked him onto a different flight to the rest of us on the way home. And lo and behold, all of our flights got cancelled. And so we ended up on the same one as him anyway. With that said, what you do come to understand when you spend a lot of time with a mate like Joe is that you might just make your own luck. And in Joe's case, it's by being a really good bloke, which leads me nicely on to number 5, which is probably the most important. And that is the fact that Joe won't let anything get in the way of meeting up with his family and friends. So, as Fran told you guys earlier, Joe's recently been a little bit unwell and has obviously been diagnosed with diabetes. It's something he's going to have to continue to adapt to, but something Joe's always been good for, and I'm personally proud of him for continuing with this latest challenge, is the fact that he always makes it to whatever's happening with his family or friends, no matter how crap he's personally feeling. It's probably a good thing, given how fond he has been over the years of asking anyone who's flagging behind on a night out whether they've come on a lad's holiday by mistake. But fair play to him. He's lived by his words and battled through when, I mean, presumably he must be feeling pretty awful, and it was largely without complaint. I think it says a lot about him and can teach us all a good lesson that whatever it is in life, if you get on with it and do it, you'll probably feel a lot better for it, unless you need serious medical attention. Number 6, and the last thing from me, is something that Harry mentioned earlier, and that's that Joe is very comfortable letting Fran take the lead on all things organisation. Fran, I'm conscious you don't let him get away with too much, but I think we all know he's a diamond and that you're perfect for him. You look amazing today, and we all owe you a massive thanks for organising this special day for us all to celebrate with you. Harry's going to close out with a speech and a toast, but from me, on behalf of, I think, all of our friends, I want to wish you two all the best and all the happiness in the world for the rest of your lives together. Thank you. All right, smash it, boy. Close it out. Close it out.
Cool, so yeah, as we come to an end, just before we get into the kind of last thanks, I just wanted to let everyone know that we've left a calendar at the front of the room so people can book in time with the newlyweds. The calendar's for 2024 because those that know Joe and Fran, they're about the busiest couple you'll ever meet, and they haven't got a free weekend until then. So yeah, feel free to book some time in. But no, in all seriousness, Fran, I think you're the perfect match for Joe. I think your personality similarities and differences are what make you guys brilliant. You look absolutely amazing today, and it's yeah, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for you too. Joe, you've been, where are we? Joe, you've been my brother and best friend for 25 years. I know you've had it tough over the last couple of months, but I think you've dealt with it completely perfectly. Like, you've had a positive smile on your face the entire time, and are getting used to your new regime, I guess. And it's really great that you're kind of in a position now where you can fully get your hair down, enjoy tonight, and have no worries about your diabetes. And yeah, I suppose as a whole, I can't wait to see what the future holds for you guys, like whether that's your kind of continued trips down to Cornwall, your round-the-world trip that I know you're planning, the safari that I know you're looking at doing next year. As long as you guys keep coming to Christmas Eve, I think we'll all be sweet. So that's all good. But yeah, I think for the last time, like, it's been an amazing day, and I just want to raise a glass to the happy couple. So if anyone would join me with raising a glass to Mrs. and Mr. Francesca Eek. It's fucking hard work to get there. Yeah.